I feel the need to put out a PSA specifically for the people within the horse industry that are currently cheerleading the mass deportations and how ICE is persecuting immigrants or people that they just assume are immigrants because of how they look. I want to remind people that the horse industry in particular relies on the labor and exploitation of immigrant workers to a large extent. And I also want to remind people that people being useful when it comes to the labor force is not a prerequisite for them to be deserving of equality and fair treatment and kindness and not be persecuted. But I want to bring up the labor in specific because the horse industry in particular relies immensely on the labor of immigrant workers. And a lot of the people that I have been seeing cheerleading the mass deportations the most are people who rely on immigrant workers. A lot of these people who are the loudest in their advocacy against immigrants are people who are going to the barn on a regular basis while their horse is being cared for by immigrants and while they don't have to lift a finger to take care of their horse on a daily basis because they have workers doing it for them. They're people who have people that are grooming and tacking their horses for them and putting all the labor in to make their lives easier. And they see these people on a day-to-day basis, and then they go home and they write a post about how illegal aliens need to leave their country, and they're advocating for the persecution of the very people they rely on for care of their horses. I want to point out the mass hypocrisy that there is in how many horse people are just flagrantly racist and how many horse people are just so nationalistic that they're totally okay with people being arrested and deported without due process. It is especially disgusting to see these types of attitudes from people who are existing within an industry that relies so heavily on the labor of people of color. And I just think that as an industry, more of us need to be calling this shit out because people shouldn't be able to go online and be extremely racist and advocate for people being persecuted and arrested and taken without due process, and then go and exist comfortably within their barns alongside the very people that they're advocating for the persecution of. I don't think people should be able to comfortably exist in a headspace where they are advocating for harm caused of others. I also want to point out that most of us that are existing in North America right now are technically immigrants. Unless you are literally an indigenous person, you immigrated here. And you are not more noble or righteous in living here simply because your ancestors participated in the murder and genocide of millions of people in order to make the land what it is today. That doesn't make you more deserving of being here. Honestly, if anything, it makes you less. And I'm using the universal you because that includes me. That said, I think everyone needs to be doing a better job to advocate for people of color within the industry because there is already a profound amount of racism, and what is going on currently in the US is just going to increase the level of racism that already exists. And we shouldn't be facilitating an environment where people can be comfortable when they are only nice to immigrants or people of color when they serve them a purpose by way of working for them or within the barn or being otherwise adjacent to their lives. We can't let people take that proximity and choose to pick and choose which people they treat fairly while advocating for the greater persecution of all the people who fit within that demographic. Allowing people to comfortably speak about immigrants in a dehumanizing manner and say the things that I've seen people saying creates an unsafe environment for all people of color. So take a look around you and take note of the language people are using and what they are supporting because it absolutely does speak for parts of their character. And we can't let people separate what they are actively supporting from who they are as a person and what their actions actually mean and who they harm. Immigrants are not making your life worse, but your government would love for you to believe that they are so that they deflect your attention away from what's actually causing your problems.